Welcome to Drive Your Own Adventure with Benjamin Starr. With holiday parks and resorts across New South Wales and Queensland, find your dream destination with Ingenia Holidays.
Okay, we're driving our own adventure, and I'd like to introduce you to a guy by the name of Frank Shipp. He's the Sunshine Coast's king of the birds. He admits he might be a little bit compulsive over this sort of stuff, but why else would someone amass almost 500 birds, spend years building gardens, and even bring a fishing boat to his Maleny property? Some might call him a little crazy, but I think he's today's modern-day Dr. Dolittle.
Polynesia, I want you to teach me everything you know. We'll start at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
But it took me over 100 years.
Then we'll start at 7 o'clock. There's not a moment to lose. Matthew, think what it would mean if I could talk to the animals.
This is your aviary. This is not just an aviary. This is like a Bunnings warehouse hangar.
Yeah, it's probably about the biggest in Australia now. So these, a lot of these birds have been hand-reared by myself, so they all want a piece of me. On the weekends, we have to do this every 15 minutes. There's just so many people coming through. This is the main attraction. 81% of visitors come here, especially for the...
So when people are travelling up here, you recommend they come up to your neck of the woods. Explain where we are exactly.
Well, we're on the Sunshine Coast hinterland in a place called Maleny, and it's a magnificent drive to come up the mountain to come and see us.
And then you've got the wonderful bird aviary, Paradise. Look at it. Welcome to Paradise.
Yeah.
You came up with that name, didn't you?
Actually, one of my workers did.
Oh, really?
Well, that sounds pretty good to me. Yeah, there's so much to see and do, yeah.
What sort of permits do you have to have a bird aviary like this?
It's not so much a permit for the aviary, but you need permits for certain birds.
Right.
Depending on what bird it is. If it's an Australian bird, most of them would need a permit. Exotics? No, not a problem at all. So that was the first aviary I built, the one at the back.
Yep.
And it just took off like wildfire, and I've just had to keep on adding. Now I've put on something, it's just an Australian aviary. It's just Australian birds right at the back.
Yeah.
You know, the average man in the street doesn't know the birds that well, so this is it's a bit of an educational thing.
And what's interesting is you've got all these plants surviving inside. They're all growing. Like, do birds like water, like getting sprayed with water? Is there, like, the natural environment? You've got the roof that's all open.
We have a sprinkler system where on a hot day we'll open up and they'll have their bath. And
yeah.
So you're also watering the birds, the plants at the same time.
Yeah. Why did you end up buying this place?
I wanted to put this garden together, but it was supposed to be just, for myself, just a private.
This was a garden in your head.
Yes.
That you needed to create.
Correct. It's just something I always wanted to do.
So you bought this property and then you decided to start, obviously, with one garden bed. Which was the one that you started with?
Come through and I'll show you. So this is one of the best views around Queensland.
And we're looking out over the Glasshouse Mountains.
Yes.
So we're sort of this is all like a volcano down in here, isn't it?
Yeah. It happened about 25 million years ago, apparently.
Wow.
So that's one of the most recognisable sites in Australia.
What amazes me on this trip and this podcast series that we've done, everybody we've spoken to, you would think governments fund all this stuff. This is all done out of your own money. Everybody's got the same story.
100% privately funded, not a cent from anybody.
When you look at all this now that you've created here, was this all in your head? This whole image that we've got in front of us?
Basically, yes. I wasn't smart enough to put it all down on paper. I tried, but it didn't work out. So I've done it one by one. So you do one section, and that would dictate the second section.
Yeah.
And
how do you decide on what to plant? Is it something that you like at the time?
Absolutely. Some of it's been trial and error. Some has been on advice of professional people.
Yeah. It's quite spiritual up here, isn't it?
Very much so. Very much so. There's an area I'm going to show you that you will see how spiritual it is.
So how many acres have you got here?
Well, all up 110. The gardens probably represent about 20 acres now and growing.
And how many plants do you reckon are sitting in here? I'd hate to think.
100,000 more.
Now, if you were to put a cost to that, before you started this garden, would you have done it?
Probably not. Yeah. It's got right out of hand. And as I said, I was a bit naive, thinking I could just open it up for free to the public.
Yeah.
But the other thing, of course, it got out of hand from a hobby. It just grew. And
well, some people collect things and hoard things and make their houses like a hoarding thing. There's TV shows on that.
Yeah.
What you've done is you've created this amazing... It's like a nursery.
Yeah, I suppose you could describe it like that. Yeah.
You've got staff, golf carts. You're going to take us down and show us... What did you put in a pond?
Oh, all these ponds you see, I've put in most of them. Yeah. And they were just little swamps. So it's all spring-fed.
And then you bought something to put in one of them. Just a small little toy.
Just you're talking about a fishing trawler. Yeah. Only one on the hinterland anywhere in Australia, I think.
Now, in terms of growing plants, what advice do you have for people that say, oh, I don't have a green thumb, or, you know, have never got their hands dirty? There's something therapeutic about doing stuff with nature, isn't there?
Absolutely. It's very relaxing, but extremely rewarding. And you shouldn't fail. If you take expert advice, go to your local Bunnings or whatever, and see somebody who knows what they're talking about. Make sure it's conducive to the soil, suitable to your area, the right climate. You can't go too far wrong.
So, what do your kids think of all this? It's a great backyard.
Yeah, they love it. They love it. I built a treehouse for my youngest one. Yeah. Over there, we're going to go and have a look at that.
It's like a house.
Yeah, it's got internet, it's Wi-Fi, surround sound, TV. It's got everything you want.
Now, do you still work in engineering, or you gave that all away?
Oh no, that's all sold out many years ago.
Yeah.
It helped me to no end with all the hydraulics and the pumps and that, and the design of the whole system.
Yeah.
So
last year I had the opportunity to go to the Palace of Versailles, and they were ahead of their time, the French, how they created all those ponds and how they got them to work. They didn't have pumps, they used it all on water pressure.
Yeah, it is incredible. Absolutely, just using gravity alone is very interesting.
And I imagine up here you would see the seasons change quite distinctly, because I mean, we're looking down on what looks like the bottom of a volcano.
Yeah, it's maybe not as distinct as it would be in a colder climate. Yeah. Being a subtropical, certain stuff still stays a lot green, and there's still a lot of colour around.
And so when people come up this way, tell them how to get to your property and what they can do when they get here.
Well, getting here is a very scenic route indeed. We get many comments on that, and we're pretty well signposted now. But when you get here, there's something for everybody, from very young to very old. And to get around, we've got golf buggies, and there's just so many things to do. We've been told many times, you know, I didn't have enough time. I wish I'd known what was here. I would have, you know, planned a longer stay.
Well, we've been chatting with Frank Shipp today, a man who is very, very passionate about his wonderful garden up here in Maleny, and just looking over this property, you have to see it to believe it. So the best way to do it is to go on an Ingenia holiday and drive your own adventure, and you'll come and meet the man himself, Dr. Doolittle of the birds and the plants, up here in Maleny.
Thanks for listening to Drive Your Own Adventure with Ingenia Holidays. With holiday parks and resorts across New South Wales and Queensland, Ingenia Holidays offers the ideal place for an extended break, weekend getaway or short stopover. Find your dream destination with Ingenia Holidays at www.ingeniaholidays.com.au.